This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Talking, so we just sat there and watched. 2 hours of carnage and maiming wasn't the cleverest thing for me to have let Jilly look at. She burst into tears. She was always all right if she wasn't aware of the dramas. She knew very little of what I did, and had never asked questions, because, she told me, she didn't want the answers. "Oh, you're off. When are you coming back?" was the most she would ever ask. But this time it was different. For once, she knew where I was going. As she drove me through the darkness towards camp, I said, "Why don't you get yourself that dog you were on about? It would be company for you." I'd meant well, but it set off the tears again. I got her to drop me off a little way from the main gates. "I'll walk from here, mate," I said, with a strained smile. "I need the exercise." "See you when I see you," she said, as she pecked me on the cheek. Neither of us went a bundle on long goodbyes. The first thing that hits you when you enter squadron lines, the camp accommodation area, is the noise. Vehicles revving, men hollering for the return of bits of kit, and from every bedroom in the unmarried quarters, a different kind of music, on maximum watts. This time it was all so much louder because so many of us were being sent out together. I met up with Dinger, Mark the Kiwi and Stan, the other 3 members of my gang. A few of the unfortunates who weren't going to the Gulf still came in anyway and joined in a slagging and blackguarding. We loaded our kits into cars and drove up to the top end of the camp, where transports were waiting to take us to Bryce Norton. As usual, I took my sleeping bag onto the aircraft with me, together with my Walkman, washing and shaving kit, and brew kit. Dinger took 200 Benson & Hedges. If we found ourselves dumped in the middle of nowhere or hanging around a deserted airfield for days on end, it wouldn't be the first time. We flew out by RAF VC-10. I passively smoked the 20 or so cigarettes that Dinger got through in the course of the 7-hour flight, honking at him all the while. As usual, my complaints had no effect whatsoever. It was excellent company, however, despite his filthy habit. Originally with Para-Reg, Dinger was a veteran of the Falklands. He looked the part as well, rough and tough, with a voice that was scary and eyes that were scarier still. But behind the football hooligan face lay a sharp, analytical brain. Dinger could polish off the Daily Telegraph crossword in no time, much to my annoyance. Out of uniform, he was also an excellent cricket and rugby player, and an absolutely lousy dancer. Dinger danced the way Virgil Tracy walked. When it came to the crunch, though, he was solid and unflappable. We landed at Riyadh, to find the weather typically pleasant for the time of year in the Middle East, but there was no time to soak up the rays. Covered transports were waiting on the tarmac, and we were whisked away to a camp in isolation from other coalition troops. The advance party had got things squared away sufficiently to answer the first 3 questions you always ask when you arrive at a new location. Where do I sleep? Where do I eat? And where's the bog? Home for our half-squadron, we discovered, was a hangar about 100 metres long and 50 metres wide. Into it were crammed 40 blokes and all manner of stores and equipment, including vehicles, weapons and ammunition. There were piles of gear everywhere. Everything from insect repellent and rations to laser target markers and boxes of high explosive. It was a matter of just getting in amongst it and trying to make your own little world as best as you could. Mine was made out of several large crates containing outboard engines, arranged to give me a sectioned-off space that I covered with a tarpaulin to shelter me from the powerful arc lights overhead. There were many separate hives of activity, each with its own noise. Radios tuned into the BBC World Service, Walkmans with plug-in speakers that thundered out folk, rap and heavy metal. There was a strong smell of diesel, petrol and exhaust fumes. Vehicles were driving in and out all the time as blokes went off to explore other parts of the camp and see what they could pinch. And of course, while they were away, their kit in turn was being explored by other blokes. You snooze?